And tonight, disturbing surveillance video showing the murder of South Florida rapper XXXTentacion and the moments leading up to it.
The 20-year-old was killed back in June, and 4 men have since been indicted. CBS 4's Carrie Codd is in Fort Lauderdale with the story.
One of the co-defendants in the murder of rapper XXXTentacion has accepted a plea deal. He will testify for the state. Robert Allen pleaded guilty. He will testify against his co-defendants. He is still looking at a possible life sentence, but hopes for less time. Surveillance video showed Allen outside of the motorcycle dealership on Dixie Highway in Deerfield, and that's where XXXTentacion was shot and killed back in 2018.
Drake is among a list of rappers potentially appearing as witnesses in the murder trial of South Florida rapper XXXTentacion. XXXTentacion had a feud with Drake. In a post months before his death in 2018, he wrote, quote, "If anyone tries to kill me, it was Champagne Papi," which is Drake's social media handle. He later said his Instagram account had been hacked. Broward prosecutors charged 4 men with XXXTentacion's robbery and ambush-style murder outside of a Deerfield Beach motorcycle dealership. There's not been any evidence that Drake was involved. The trial is set for January 9th.
It's been many years since the death of young rapper XXXTentacion, and people still mourn him today. The reason they do is because they know he was a great talent, and he could have performed so much more and made many great tracks had he had the opportunity, but it wasn't to be. So why are we bringing him up 4 years later? That would be because some of the people who murdered him are now finally on trial, and there are some curious things going on there, not the least of which is some prominent rappers being put on the witness list. We'll break it down for you, but before we do that, go ahead and do us a favor by leaving a like on the video, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the bell icon so you never miss an upload from us. And with that being said, let's get straight into the video. The new witnesses. Multiple rappers, including Drake and all 3 members of the group Migos, have been added to the list of possible witnesses in the upcoming trial against one of the 4 men charged in the shooting death of South Florida rapper and social media sensation XXXTentacion. The defense for one of 4 men charged in the murder case filed the list of 30 new possible witnesses on Tuesday, and the prosecution responded the following day, pointing out that one of the men on the list died last month. X, whose real name was Jose Dwayne Onfroy, was a 20-year-old rising star in June 2018 when suspects rushed up to his car and shot him outside a Deerfield Beach motorcycle shop. He died later in a Fort Lauderdale hospital. More on that later. 4 men were later charged in the case, and 2 of them were arrested: 22-year-old Michael Boatwright and 22-year-old Dedrick D. Williams, who both face first-degree murder charges. Trayvon Newsom, age 20, and Robert Allen, age 22, have also been charged in the case. 30 new names were added to the list of possible witnesses in Williams' trial, which is set to start January 9th, 2023 in Broward County, in a filing by the defense Wednesday, December 13th. On the list of rappers, Drake, Tekashi 6ix9ine, Joe Budden, and members of the rap trio Migos, Quavo, Offset, and Takeoff. However, Takeoff was shot and killed at a Houston bowling alley in November. Documents filed by the prosecution December 14th note that Takeoff was deceased and should not be included on the list. The prosecution said in its filing that the defense's late disclosure of the defendant's witnesses and comments made between the parties and defendants intended to surprise the state and create a trial by ambush. The defense's list of new possible witnesses did not provide information about why each person might be helpful for defending Dedrick Williams in the case. And that is the question, isn't it? What could they possibly say? Think about all the court dramas that you've seen over the years. The biggest thing that the witnesses for the defense are supposed to do is point out why the defendant either didn't do something or wasn't capable of doing a deed. For example, in the death of X, you'd expect the defense to pull out witnesses who could prove or try to prove that Dedrick Williams wasn't involved in what happened. Yet here the defense is pulling out some big rappers in the game, and also 6ix9ine. It would have been reported by now if any of these rappers were in the area or on the scene when everything went down. So what possible reason could they have to bring everyone in? Some are thinking it's to call into question the character of the late rapper. After all, many of these new witnesses had beef with him while alive. Some people on Instagram noted that when they heard the news. I don't know if anyone remembers, but Migos and X beefed like in person, like they literally physically fought. Ski Mask was also there. Drake also had beef with X because X kept saying Drake copied a melody. I don't know, I just find it weird since his death looked like an execution. I always felt like Drake or Migos had something to do with it. Trying to make a deceased rapper seem guilty in any way could help the defense if they proved anything meaningful, but you have to call into question the tactics because you could argue that anyone could be bad to the right person. It's more of a question of whether he did anything to instigate things that led to his death. death. By all accounts, he didn't. Other people online found it interesting that 6ix9ine was on that list, and they had plenty of things to say about him along the lines of, I don't know why they even got a list. All they gotta do is ask 6ix9ine and he'll tell them everything they want to know. That's obviously a reference to how he snitched on his former crew and got out of jail early as a result. He maintains he did nothing wrong by snitching, but the rap world doesn't agree. If he does anything to besmirch the name of X, he'll have even more problems to deal with. The death of X. To reinforce why it's odd that these witnesses are being called, let's recap the events of the young rapper's death. The event itself happened in June 2018 when X was out and about in Florida around the spot of his home. He went to a motorcycle shop and came out of the dealership in a BMW when he was suddenly followed by a dark SUV. He was robbed, and though he tried to cooperate with the thieves, they decided to not leave him alive. Though the police and an ambulance made it to him, he passed away in the hospital hours later. The following statement was given about the loss of X. On June 18, 2018, Jose Onfroy, known worldwide as XXXTentacion, tragically passed away in Deerfield, Florida. The statement begins, in deference to his family, friends, and loved ones, and in light of further investigation, we ask that their privacy is respected at this time. X touched the lives of millions around the globe and will forever reside in the hearts of countless fans who listened to his music, attended his concerts, and felt the glow of his uncontainable, undeniable, and unique spirit. The loss of XXXTentacion was massive to the rap world at large. Some were even crushed by the event, not wanting to believe that this had actually happened. The rap world from all tiers sent love and praise to their fallen brother, and many decided to bury themselves inside his music to hold on to that faint embers of his life. In fact, some people were so distraught over what happened that they started to wonder if he was actually dead. The signs. When you're convinced that something isn't right, you look into the past to try and find signs that something indeed was up. For the death of X, people looked at his social media posts for any clues as to why things might not be as they appear. Before his passing, XXXTentacion went to Instagram and made a message that has given a lot of people chills since then. If worst thing comes to worst and I die or something, and I'm not able to see out my dreams, I at least want to know that the kids perceived my message and were able to make something of themselves and able to take my message and use it and turn it into something positive and to at least have a good life. He said in the clip, if I'm gonna pass or ever be a I want to make sure that my life made at least 5 million kids happy, or they found some sort of answers or resolve in my life, regardless of the negativity around my name, regardless of the bad things people say to me. Plus, there's something his attorney said not long after the incident. He noted that he actually asked the rapper to beef up his security detail. We talked about him needing security, that he was past the point of being a kid making melodies on a street corner. So that's curious. Why wouldn't he add more protection for himself? Unless he didn't want it. Could he have wanted it to end without many prying eyes or people not being in on what was about to happen? Weirder things have happened, trust us. Sticking with social media, one believer in the rapper being alive posted on Twitter all the reasons the crime scene photos didn't line up with the facts. Here's what Vasen Vane had to say about the passing of X and why there's evidence that he may be alive. His passing in the reports. It said his Louis bag was stolen from his car. In the video of his pulse being checked, there's absolutely no evidence of no shattered glass, no holes. His face is in pristine condition. If he was run up on, wouldn't his car have been damaged? Wouldn't he have had face injuries? And to go out the way he did, he should have portrayed a more violent outcome than what actually showed. It's really suspicious. In the videos, he's completely clean, even on his clothing, which was very light colored. Next, the Louis bag was stolen, and X wore jewelry often. No reports of jewelry being stolen were made. Why would you rob someone, do serious harm to them, steal their Louis bag, but leave their jewelry? Especially from a notorious rapper. Finally, someone pointed out the fact that his tattoos are missing. The videos of his body are low quality, and I'm not sure I believe it, but it seems that very clearly his forehead tattoo is missing. He has a very prominent prong-shaped tattoo on his forehead, which is missing, which brings the option of the man in the car being a double. Again, not sure I believe it, but I also don't believe he passed away. So yeah, there are plenty who believe the rapper is alive, and this news about the rappers being added to the witness list isn't going to help with that too much, because they'll think they're trying to hide the truth further, or something along those lines. No matter what, things are going to get interesting, especially if those rappers do take the stand again. By all accounts, they weren't there that day, so why would they need to testify at a murder trial they had no part of? That's what we still need to find out. closure. If nothing else, the trial will go on for one of the killers of X, who will hopefully serve as any kind of closure for the family and friends of the rapper. It may have been 4 years since his death, but things aren't resolved quite yet. The men responsible for the heinous action need to be tried, convicted, and then put away. Hopefully the defense isn't trying to make a mockery of things, though given how crazy court cases can be, it's not something you can rule out. The biggest crime is that XXXTentacion's life was taken at such a young age. Just as sad is that the violence in the rap community hasn't stopped, as noted earlier by the death of Takeoff in November. Rappers have been killed in cold for various reasons, and at such young ages that it's led many to wonder if things will get better anytime soon, or if things like these deaths will keep happening. But with that being said, there you go everyone, a look at the new update in the case for XXXTentacion and why so many rappers are suddenly being named to it. Are you shocked that this is happening so long after the death of the rapper? Do you think that these appearances will lead to anything, or is this just a stunt by the defense? Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.